Hi, everybody. I am coming to you live uh, because I want to talk about Houston. and I happen to be a native Houstonian. And since we are recovering from what is called a historic storm, I want to give a little history of Houston, but not like history, like history. I want to give like hands-on, like history, like as in my life growing up in Houston, and just kind of like a dedication to Houston and a check-in, because I know everybody has to be experiencing some version of what I'm experiencing, which is lots of different kind of phases of coming in and out of different feelings, and from gratitude to sadness, to what I'm feeling today is nostalgic, very nostalgic. And I'll tell you more about why as I go through this, what I wanted to say to you, what I wanted to talk about. So I am a native Houstonian, and I was born at St. Luke's Hospital, and I've lived here all my life. And I've never seen a reason to leave, because I love Houston. I really love Houston. In fact, my two kids were bred, born, and raised in Houston, Texas. And one of my delights as of the past, several years, maybe a decade, has been, since more and more people are moving into Houston, and you hear more and more people say, when I meet them, like, oh, it's a rarity to meet a native Houstonian. And well, I'm like, really? Because I run across native Houstonians all the time, and not just on Facebook, but like out and about everywhere in my business life, everywhere. And so one of the things that I've delighted in the past 10 years or so is identifying people who have a Houston, Texas accent. It's a very distinct accent. And so I can usually peg that when I'm talking to someone after a little while. I'll often say, so are you from Houston? Are you a native Houstonian? And I nail it pretty much every time. So I'm proud of that. I'm really, really proud of that. And when I was growing up, my mom was so excited about Houston, and she would read all the projections about it. We were not a major metropolitan city back then, but it was all projected to be a major metropolitan city. And I remember my mom just being like so thrilled about what was going to happen in downtown. Now, some of you know me closer than others of you, and you know that my mom has been dead for about 30 years now, because she was in a car accident, a fatal car accident 30 years ago. And so her life got cut short at the age of 53. And so part of my nostalgia is kind of like how excited she was about what she saw about the future of Houston. And, my dad also, he died, oh goodness, about 35 years ago. 37 years ago. And he also died like unexpectedly. It was a heart attack, and or should I say abruptly. And he was a lawyer. He was an oil and gas lawyer here in Houston. And I remember back when we lived in Memorial. I was raised in Memorial. Shout out to all my Memorial people. And Memorial was considered suburbs back in those days. And my dad was really big into looking at property for investments. And so we would oftentimes be in his car driving down Westheimer while he looked at different pieces of property that were projected to be, developed. But back then it was cows. Literally, it was cows. And so, I remember all this, and this storm has brought some nostalgia back to me. And I guess it's because it's a history it's a historical storm, and so there's just so much going on right now. And I got so lucky. I didn't get wet, like my office high and dry, my home high and dry, my car high and dry. And so I've been helping friends who weren't so lucky, and just overall, like really just going through many different kind of like wow with everyone. Everyone's just wow. This is like, it's really crazy. So that's it. I really wanted to come on and just say some stuff like some of my memories from being raised in Houston as a true blue native Houstonian. My grandmother actually raised my dad in the neighborhood where my office is now in River Oaks. And she worked as a PhD in the English department, teaching Shakespeare for 25 years at the University of Houston. And then my son, it's just like, there's just a lot of history. My son attended University of Houston, and it's just crazy kind of like all of the things that, Houston represents for me. And so I want to talk just a little bit about why I'm on this live video. When I was young, 26 years old, and my mom was killed in a car accident, one of the things that I had to know was, where did she go? And like, really, like, I had to know why. Like, what is it all about? Like, why? And it was really compounded when she died, because of course my dad had died a few years before, and so it was like both of them at really young ages, and I was 26. So there was some real spiritual development for me that was to come at a really young adult age. And I ended up coming to the conclusion that my mom was still around, and that she was very accessible, that I could communicate with her anytime I wanted. And there's a whole story about how I reached to that conclusion and came up with that as a reality. But my mom, like I said, she loved Houston. She was so excited about where Houston was going. And so when I've been down at the Buffalo Bio Park, like at the grand opening, I felt her presence. Like, she was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Because that's how she was in real life. Like, she was just like, and so, I felt a nudge from her. I felt a nudge. She was forward thinking, and very excited also about the technology age. So as soon as personal computers, PCs were available, she couldn't wait. Whoa, excuse me. She couldn't wait to have a personal computer. And so now I really think my mom was nudging me. Like, I think she wanted to play on Facebook and talk to the community through me. And I'm not saying that I'm channeling her. Don't think I'm crazy, although, well, go ahead, think I'm crazy, because you wouldn't be the first. But like, for real, I just felt this real nudge, like, to get on Facebook. I have a huge community on Facebook, and just express something about Houston from a historical standpoint, as in, like, being a native Houstonian, and post-historical storm Harvey, and just wish everybody, the best for putting their lives back together. And yep. This is going to go on for a while, and so I'm sure there will be a lot of different thoughts and feelings that people will move throughout the next month and 2 and 3, and just sending you lots of love, and also making myself available to help people. So I've been reaching out to friends, I've been texting, I've been talking to a lot of people and finding out who made it through without getting wiped out, and so forth and so on, as everyone has. So with that, best wishes to those of you who are putting things back together And I'll be seeing you soon.